Good morning, students. Today, let me continue with this histology chapter, and particularly today, I'm going to explain you about the histology of small intestine. You know that, students, this small intestine, it is one of the major part of the alimentary canal, and that lies in between stomach and the last part of this alimentary canal, what is called as large intestine. Some of the sections are being shown here, the details of which I am going to explain it in later slides. Small intestine is an organ located in the gastrointestinal tract between the stomach and the large intestine. It is on average about 23 feet long and is comprised of three structural parts, that is the duodenum, jejunum and ileum. Functionally, the small intestine is chiefly involved in the digestion and absorption of nutrients. So, the last stage of the completion of this process of digestion occurs in the small intestine, and once it is being digested, the full absorption of the digested nutrients occurs in this small intestine only. So, it is one of the major part of our alimentary canal or the digestive system. This small intestine, it receives pancreatic secretions and bile secretion through the hepatopancreatic duct, which aid with its functions. So also it also receives the secretion of its own glands called intestinal glands, and the secretion is called intestinal juice, also technically known as succus entericus. Some of the cell types found in the intestinal epithelium include simple columnar epithelium, which are said to be absorptive cells, which have a microvillus, that is striate border, and are involved in nutrient digestion and absorption. The goblet cells secrete mucin, and the columnar crypt cells transport secretory immunoglobulin, what is called as IgA. Coming to the fourth type, Paneth cells, at the base of intestinal crypts produce antibacterial substances, and these cells have very eosinophilic secretion granules due to their content of lysozyme. Coming to the next type, M cells, which occur in the regions where lymphoid nodules abut intestinal epithelium. And here the columnar cells are replaced by the cuboidal to squamous cells, and the M cells belong to the mononuclear phagocytic system of macrophages and antigen presenting cells. There are some stem cells are also located in the base of the intestinal crypts. The last type of cells are called as enteroendocrine cells, which are abbreviated as DNES, which produce hormones and are not readily distinguished in routine preparations. So it requires a special kind of staining techniques to see this DNES. The small intestine is divided into three regions. As I told you already, they are duodenum, jejunum and ileum. The pyloric stomach transitions to the duodenum at the pyloric sphincter, which is a thick inner circular layer of the muscularis externa. The middle part is called as duodenum, the beginning part, which is the shortest segment, having a length of about 25 centimeters, and receives secretions from the liver and pancreas, which are containing some digestive enzymes which play an important role in digestion. A distinguishing feature of the duodenum is that the presence of submucosal glands, also called as Brenner's glands, and their appearance differs from pyloric glands only with respect to where they are located, that is submucosal versus mucosal. Whether they are present in submucosal layer or mucosal layer, they are said to be one of the important glands present in the duodenum region. The next parts will be the jejunum and the ileum. They have a similar appearance, and the lymphoid tissue in the lamina propria progressively increases from the jejunum to the ileum. In the ileum, permanent clusters of lymphoid nodules called Peyer's patches become a prominent feature. So in the jejunum and ileum, we come across with the abundant Peyer's patches, which are less dense in case of duodenum. Villi become shorter here and broader and have increasingly larger lacteals. So lacteals are the components of the lymphatic system which blind ending lymphoid vessels in the core of the villi in the ileum. The frequency of goblet cells and Panus cells increases as one progresses from duodenum to ileum. So it is very less in duodenum and it is slightly increasing in case of jejunum and it is still more in case of ileum. The histological features. The histological structure of the small intestine is similar to the other organs in the digestive tract, and we can come across with four main layers here also. They are the mucosa, the innermost layer, submucosa, the layer which comes after mucosa, and muscularis externa, which comes after submucosa, and adventitia, which is also called outermost layer. Mucosa, it contains the epithelium, lamina propria and muscularis mucosae. The submucosa, it contains connective tissue layer which contains blood vessels, lymphatics and the submucosal plexus. Muscularis externa, it consists of two smooth muscle layers, the outer longitudinal layer and the inner circular layer. The mesenteric plexus lies between them. Coming to the next layer, the outermost, that is adventitia, it comprises of loosely arranged fibroblasts and collagen with the vessels and nerves passing through it. The majority of the small intestine adventitia is covered by mesothelium and is commonly called the serosa. The small intestine is the major absorptive site in the gastrointestinal tract and therefore has a number of modifications to aid its function. So it has some specialized histological features which facilitates the process of absorption. The mucosa and submucosa form large number of folds, also called as plicae, arranged in a circular fashion in the lumen, therefore called plicae circularis. Additionally, the plicae contain microvilli to further increase the surface area of absorption, which increases the process of absorption. Coming to the cells of the epithelium, the epithelium of the small intestine lines the luminal surface and there are a number of components to the epithelium. The cells are as follows: enterocytes. These are tall columnar cells which have an absorptive function and they contain brush border enzymes on the surface which have an important digestive function. The next type will be goblet cells, the exocrine glands which secrete mucus or mucin. Coming to the next one, crypts of Lieberkühn. The crypts of Lieberkühn are the glands found in the epithelial lining. They contain numerous cells such as stem cells to produce new cells to replenish the cells that are lost due to abrasion, as well as enteroendocrine cells to synthesize and secrete hormones. So the crypts of Lieberkühn, they contain two major types of cells. They are enteroendocrine cells and stem cells. It also consists of the cells called Panus cells. It is to protect from pathogens and these are referred to as Panus cells which secrete the protective agents such as defensins and lysozymes. And the Peyer's patches which are only found in the ileum, they are the patches which contain mucosal associated lymphatic tissue, popularly abbreviated as MALT. And this will house white blood cells and lymphocytes. And these cells can produce antibodies to further protect the small intestine from infection. So, malt is majorly playing a role in immunity. So, this is what the one of the sectional view of this small intestine, particularly the villi part. Villi are the small microscopic hair-like projections that are found to be arranged on the epithelial cells of the small intestine, that is enterocytes. And as you observe here, there are certain projections, deepward projections, and these are called crypts or crypts of Lieberkühn. And this is what the view of that particular enterocytes or the cells of the lining of the small intestine. And as you observe here, there are microvilli which are forming the extensions of these cells. And as I said earlier, these cells are also called as enterocytes. Coming to enteroendocrine cells, the enteroendocrine cells are located within the crypts of Lieberkühn, and they secrete hormones in response to various stimuli. There are four main classes of enteroendocrine cells, each with a different secretory product, and these are as follows. They are I cells, S cells, K cells, and enterochromaffin cells. I cells, which secrete cholecystokinin, popularly abbreviated as CCK, in response to the presence of fat in the small intestine. So this CCK stimulates the contraction of the gallbladder, which pushes the bile juice out into the cystic duct, and the release of pancreatic enzymes. This pancreatic juice, it contains a chief enzyme called steaopsin or pancreatic lipase, which plays an important role in fat digestion. Both bile and pancreatic enzymes have a key role in lipid digestion. S cells secrete secretin in response to the low pH of the chyme in the small intestine, and the secretin induces bicarbonate secretion from the pancreas and inhibits the gastric emptying. So it has a kind of feedback role that this S cell secretes secretin, that is in response to the lower pH of the chyme. Chyme is nothing but the semi-digested food material, which is a type of liquid in nature that is present in the small intestine. The secretin, as you know, that it induces the bicarbonate secretion from the pancreas and inhibits gastric emptying. So it prevents the emptying of gastric juice from the stomach. K cells. These are the ones which secrete gastric inhibitory peptide, popularly abbreviated as GIP, that is GIP, that is in response to chyme entering the small intestine. And this GIP has a misleading name as it actually stimulates insulin release, ready to put the newly digested carbohydrates into cells for storage. So it is a misnomer here that it is referred to as gastric inhibitory peptide, and this will prevent the emptying of the gastric juice, but it actually stimulates the release of insulin. Finally, the enterochromaffin cells are mechanically stimulated by the presence of chyme in the small intestine. They release secrotonin, which acts on the enteric nervous system to activate the cystic fibrosis transmembrane regulators, popularly abbreviated as CFTR. And this ion channel secretes chloride ions into the intestinal lumen, with sodium ions and water following. Sodium is required in the lumen for the absorption of number of nutrients. So this is what the broad or a gross view of the section of small intestine, showing a number of layers here. And as you observe here, the outermost layer is called tunica serosa. Tunic refers to a layer. So it is the peritoneal covering of the small intestine. And next to this serosa, there will be a thick layer, what is called as muscularis externa. And this muscularis externa, it has, muscularis externa, as I told you already, it has the outer layer called longitudinal muscles and the inner layer called circular muscles. And between these muscularis layers, that is longitudinal and circular muscles, there will be a type of nerve plexus, that is a network of nerve fibers is there, which are referred to as myenteric nerve plexus, or these are the ones which play an important role in bringing about the contractions and relaxations of the small intestine. You know, these contractions and relaxations of the small intestine is very essential, which facilitates or allows the movement of food mass from one part of the small intestine into next part. And the next layer will be what is known as tunica submucosa. So it is a layer which comes after muscularis externa, and next to which it will have a layer called muscularis mucosae. It is also referred to as muscularis interna, and this will also have two types of layers here. They are longitudinal muscles and circular muscles, and here there will be the type of nerve plexus are also present, what are called as Auerbach's nerve plexus. And the next layer is what is known as mucosa layer. So it is the innermost layer, and this mucosa layer, it is also referred to as tunica mucosa, and it will have the lining epithelial sheath, lamina propria and muscularis mucosae. And as you observe in this diagram, this mucosal layer, the inner part of which it is thrown into a number of minute microscopic folds which are called as plicae circularis, and this plicae circularis, it will have these brush type of cells or the hair-like projections what are called as microvilli. So this is what tunica mucosa, the innermost layer, and the lining of the epithelial sheath of that layer called mucosa. So this is the gross view of the sectional sections of the section of small intestine. The small intestine has several modifications to increase its surface area. They are: number 1, plicae circularis. These are the large number of mucosal folds arranged circularly around the lumen. Villi. The surface of the plicae is further arranged into the villi that extend into the intestinal lumen. So lumen is the central cavity that is there for this small intestine. Then microvilli. The absorptive surface of the villi is further increased by the microvilli. So villi is further subdivided into microvilli. And coming to the crypts of Lieberkühn, the next important modification of the small intestine. These are the invaginations of intestinal mucosa between the bases of villi and form the intestinal glands. So this is what the sectional view of that small intestine, the actual slide photograph. So you will be observing the different layers, like these are the microvilli and villi, and the foldings are called plicae circularis, and these are the intestinal crypts, the lamina propria and muscularis mucosa, which is said to be here as muscularis externa. Coming to the other part of this small intestine sections. You know, this small intestine is divided into duodenum, jejunum and ileum, and mucosa is the characteristic features, and it consists of plicae circularis, that is valves of Kerckring, and villi and microvilli, goblet cells, crypts of Lieberkühn known as intestinal glands, and these glands are lined by columnar cells which consists of the cell types like goblet cells, Paneth cells and enteroendocrine cells. So this is what the diagrammatic view of that villi part. As you see here, the villi are small microscopic finger-like projections at the base of which there will be the crypts, and this is what the lamina propria and muscularis mucosa. So these are the other sectional view of this small intestine. So here is the small intestine location, which is shown in purple color, and this will be the actual section of that small intestine, showing different layers like outermost serosa, next will be muscularis externa, and next will be submucosa, then mucosa, and the mucosa are thrown into a number of folds called plicae circularis, and this will contain villi and microvilli. So villi are shown here, villi, and then this is the enlarged view of a single villus, and as you observe here, this villus is almost like the shape of a neck of a flask, which will contain crypts of Lieberkühn at the base, and this villus is lined by columnar epithelial cells, the enlarged view here, and some of the cells are there in the villus, what are called as goblet cells. The enlarged view is shown here, and there will be the enteroendocrine cells which are found almost towards the base of the villus, and there will be some cells called regenerative cells which are also said to be stem cells, and they also contain Paneth cells at the basalmost region of the villus. So this is what the sectional view of that small intestine. So this is what the other section of the small intestine, showing the different layers. The innermost layer, what is called as the mucosa, then comes the submucosa, muscularis externa, and serosa, the outermost layer also called as adventitia. So the different layers are shown here, students. You can view them during your leisure time. Duodenum. It will contain the presence of some specialized cells called Brenner's glands, that is especially in the submucosal layer. So here you can come across with these Brenner's glands. So the amount of or the number of these Brenner's glands are more in the duodenum. This is the high power view of the duodenal mucosa, one of the wonderful sectional view of the villus part. As you see here, there will be the folds called plicae circularis, and this plicae circularis will contain villi and villi containing microvilli. So this is the section which shows the enlarged view of only the mucosal part of the duodenum. The small intestine, as I told you, it is divided into different three layers. Coming to the duodenum, the epithelial of the duodenal mucosa is regular, simple, columnar, and microvilli of these cells form continuous brush borders, and the villi of this region are short and uniformly sized, and the intestinal crypts extend downward to the deepest levels of the tunica mucosa. They are the simple straight tubular glands lined by enterocytes, goblet cells, stem cells, Paneth cells, and enteroendocrine cells. Enterocytes, these are the absorptive epithelial cells. Goblet cells, they are glass-shaped unicellular glands which secrete mucus to protect the enterocytes. Enteroendocrine cells located in the deep regions of the crypts, as I have shown in the previous slide, and these are less numerous here. They are similar to those in stomach but produces different hormones, and they do not secrete into the lumen but into the blood flowing through the capillaries in the lamina propria. Pannate cells, these are found in the clusters at the bases of the crypts in ruminants and horse, but in humans these are again found in the basal part but not in clusters. These are pyramidal with basal spherical nuclei, and they produce peptidase and lysozyme and release them into the gut. Stem cells are found in the lower third of the crypt, and they divide to replace enterocytes and mucus cells of the villi. So this is what one more diagrammatic view of this villus part. As you see here, there are different types of cells are found: goblet cells, enteroendocrine cells, and the tufts present here between the cells, and there are some cells called Paneth cells, and there are some progeneratory cells which are called transit amplifying cells, and stem cells are also seen in the base of this particular villi. Coming to the lamina propria, these are the loose and irregular connective tissue present in the mucosal layer, and it contains collagen fibers, plasma cells, blood capillaries, and a central lacteal. Lacteal, it is a single large lymphatic vessel. It also has a small strands of smooth muscles which come off the muscularis mucosae. Muscularis mucosae, it is a thin band of smooth muscle which runs all the way around the mucosal layer and sends strands up into the villi. And these strands cause the villi to contract, expelling the contents of the crypts. Tunica submucosa. It has a number of blood vessels, lymphatics, and neurons, and these elements are called the submucosal plexus. And this plexus, along with the plexus of tunica muscularis, helps to coordinate the movements of the intestine and facilitate the passage of food through the lumen. It also has true glandular elements called Brunner's glands. And these submucosal glands specifically are a feature of duodenum and found in the first portion of it. And these glands produce alkaline secretions which neutralize the very acidic material, that is having a pH of 2 to 3, entering the duodenum from the stomach. This stomach empties its secretion called gastric juice, which is getting mixed along with the food mass, and when that alkaline food mass moves towards the duodenum, it becomes the alkaline fluid, and that is because of the alkaline secretions of these glands called submucosal glands. Coming to the tunica muscularis, it is thick and has two layers of muscles, inner circular and outer longitudinal. And between these two layers, there is a second nervous plex, what is called as myenteric plex, also referred to as plexus of Auerbach. It is present at the regular intervals between the inner and outer muscle cords. So serosa, it is the outermost layer consisting of a loose connective tissue layer with an outer mesothelial covering. Coming to jejunum, this is the middle part of the small intestine where villi are tongue shaped, as you observe here, and there will be the absence of Brunner's glands. So Brunner's glands are usually restricted to duodenum. There is a major difference present between duodenum and jejunum. Jejunal villi are longer and more irregular, which is the characteristic feature, and the muscularis mucosae is sparse or even absent. And these are the folds which are called plicae circularis, which include mucosa as well as submucosa. And these are the permanent structures which helps to increase the surface area. There are no glands in the submucosa in this region, and the other structures are similar as that of seen in duodenum. Coming to the last part, what is called as ileum, where you can observe the presence of lymphoid aggregations in lamina propria known as Peyer's patches. So there will be a dense Peyer's patches are seen here. As you see here, lymph vessel or the lymph follicle, and the villi are short and finger-like. So that is the distinctive feature of ileum. So villi are shorter and they are finger-like, and there will be the presence of extensive lymphatic aggregations called Peyer's patches here when compared to duodenum and jejunum. The ileum has certain important features which are as follows. It has the large aggregations of lymphatic tissue in the submucosa, which is a characteristic feature, and these are the lymphatic nodules or Peyer's patches, and they contain the germinal centers and are an important part of the lymphatic system. They are the site for the development of B lymphocytes. So more B lymphocytes are generated here. And the villi are more leaf-like, and the other features are similar with that of duodenum and jejunum. So with reference to the villi, we can distinguish these different parts of the small intestine, wherein duodenum is having finger-like villi, and jejunum will have tongue-shaped villi, and the ileum has leaf-like villi. So just by looking into the villi properly, we can distinguish them into either duodenum or jejunum or ileum. So this is all about today's class. With this, I have completed the histological features of small intestine. Thank you.